We're here with it's the midweek press conference for head coach David Dean ahead of the Albany State game, homecoming game this week. Coach Dean's going to start off with some comments, and then he'll open up for questions.
Well, it's good to. We're looking forward to being back home, being in the confines of our home field, and playing in front of our home crowd. Excited to get back out on the field after what happened last week. We know we didn't play very well. Did not carry our best game out to Delta State. So we as a team and as a family want to go out and prove that we can play much better. Hopefully we're going to eliminate the mistakes that we made in this past game and learn from those and go out and play a good, very good football team in Albany State and play a good football game in hopes that we can come away with another victory here at home.
Coach, what challenges do you face trying to keep the team focused after a loss?
Well, usually after a loss, you kind of get their attention because they realize the things that they're a little more open to seeing the mistakes that they made. When you're trying to correct a football team after a victory, sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other, and that's when you have to do your best coaching. So from a loss, all you have to do is you have to show them the mistakes that they made, and here's what we did wrong, and here's what cost us in those situations, and hopefully they learn from that. I think our attitude's been great. We came in here Sunday. We were still hurting a little bit, but we watched the film, made the corrections, and moved on. And I thought we had a great attitude yesterday at practice. We had a good weightlifting session yesterday before practice. So I felt very good as far as morale, as far as our approach to this game. I thought it was very good. Hopefully we'll have another good one this afternoon and then follow up with another good practice tomorrow.
Coach, offensively last Saturday you had three red zone drives that ended with no points. Has just finishing drives been emphasis for you guys this week on offense?
Well, there's no question. That was ended up being the difference in the game. We had two turnovers in the red zone, and up to that point we had been very, very good in the red zone. And I think we just got just did not make some good decisions with the football. We had a guy wide open one time and just underthrew him, and they made the interception, and the other one we just threw right to a guy, anticipating where he's going to move, and he didn't move. So, yes, that has been a big emphasis for us is finishing in the red zone, and we know that cost us in some situations. The other thing that cost us was having the ball second and goal at the 2-yard line and having a penalty and having to move back, and it kind of forced us into having to throw the ball. I felt like we could have run the ball at least 2, maybe 3 more times and gotten it in the end zone, gotten the 3 yards to get in the end zone. So, again, those are all things we got to learn from. Those are the mistakes that cost us in that ball game, the penalties, the underthrows, the not throwing in the right places, and not doing a good job of protection and opening up holes down into that area.
Coach, do you think going forward this team is going to have a good chip on its shoulder that it can carry on for the rest of the season?
Well, I would say through Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, and we don't see them much on Monday other than them just coming by and saying hello. I think that they do have that chip on their shoulder. They realize that we did not play our best, and we're still in that game and in Cleveland, Mississippi. So I think they do carry a good chip on their shoulder. I think it's something that you have to have if you're a good football team. You got to have a lot of confidence. And I would be surprised if we don't go out and play well on Saturday. We're going to have to beat Albany State. But I think that they do carry that, and it's going to be an opportunity for us to go out and prove that we were better than what we showed last Saturday in Cleveland, Mississippi.
Coach, Albany State has 3 pass catchers with over 100 yards. How do you plan on covering them well?
Well, the problem that you got with those guys is they run the option. So you have to have a lot of guys that are associated or watching for the quarterback, for the pitch and all that. So it isolates up your secondary one-on-one, and they're very good out wide. And that's something that our defense has concentrated a lot on this week, is being in that man-to-man situation. We are going to change up a few things on defense. I won't say those here, but we're changing up a few things and how we're going to approach our coverages to Albany State and hopefully confuse those guys a little bit. But we've got to play good man-to-man. Our corners have got their work cut out for them. They're going to have to play well, but we're also going to have to, when they go to the pass, we're going to have to put pressure on them from a standpoint of the up front. We've got to get a good pass rush in there, and hopefully we can do that. We're a little bit banged up front up there, but I think we still got the guys that can put the pressure on the quarterback. The problem is he's 6'5", somewhere around in there, so he can still see over people to throw. So we've got to enforce him out of the pocket some and not let him get comfortable back in there in the back and throw everything on time.
Coach, with 10 tackles for loss last game and 4 sacks included, what are you doing as you prep for this game on the offensive line to get them moving forward?
Well, I think a lot of the stuff that we blew on Saturday were just communication things. You know, they lined up in some different looks that we haven't seen, and we didn't do a good job of communicating. You know, unfortunately, a couple of those sacks that we had, they only rushed 2 people, and we had 3 people standing around just watching what was going on. And you're not going to be successful doing that. Those guys got to look for work. They can't just stand there and be spectators. So we've done a lot of talk to our guys and worked in the first day of our preparation as far as our blitz pickup is concerned, making sure that we're communicating on twists, making sure we're communicating on linebackers moving around in the box and outside of the box. And I think that's the one thing that we didn't do last week, so hopefully we'll correct that and move on from there.
Coach, you got a tough stretch coming up after this game. You know, you got North Alv, Valdosta, and then West Alabama after this game. So do you think this Albany State game is going to be a good opportunity for you guys to kind of fine-tune everything and really get into a rhythm?
Well, I don't know if you can fine-tune against Albany State. You know, you look at them and they beat Valdosta State in the first game of the season, who is a perennial playoff team. They beat Tuskegee, who's a perennial playoff team and a team that has won the SIAC many years in a row. And then they played North Greenville last week, who was another perennial team, and only lost to them by a touchdown. And I think they were the same way as us. They didn't play their best. So they're going to come in here with a little bit of an attitude as well to prove that they're a lot better than what they showed last week. But from that aspect, you know, this is not a tune-up game. This is a game that we're going to have to go out and play. We're going to have to learn how to correct the mistakes that we make, like I said, and begin to play better. My whole deal is if we can get a little bit better each week, that's what we want to do. We want to be playing our best by the time that we hit, hopefully, an opportunity to go to the playoffs in November. And that's when we want to be playing our best. So I'm not concerned that we're not playing our best football right now. I'm concerned that we are getting better on the practice field and then in games, slowly getting better each week.
Coach, the Golden Rams have fumbled 5 times already this season. Are you emphasizing stripping the ball this game?
Well, you know, we always emphasize that. We always emphasize trying to strip the ball if we get an opportunity to do that. Most of their fumbles come from exchanges in the option, you know, where they either have a bad pitch or the quarterback misreads something or something happens too fast in the read, and that's when the ball goes to the ground. And they've also had some in some special team situations. So, yes, we're always going to preach stripping the ball, getting a guy held up, and then somebody else coming in there and trying to get that ball out of there. They do a good job of hanging on to it. Most of their fumbles, like I said, have been from a pitch or an exchange standpoint. It's not so much where they get hit and lose the ball.
And with them being an option team, that places an extra emphasis for your offense to take advantage of the opportunities they have to score for the most part, because you never know like how long they're going to have it.
Well, you don't. You know, when they played Tuskegee, Tuskegee only had 29 snaps in the entire game, 3 in the first quarter. And that's almost unheard of. There's a lot of people have 29 in a first half or in a quarter and a half. And that says what Albany does. They keep the ball away from you. So, yes, our possession times are going to be very limited. We cannot have a wasted opportunity from an offensive standpoint, because if you do, and you're coming off of a scoring drive that Albany has, and then you don't produce, all of a sudden you're down 14 points, and basically a half is almost gone. And that puts you in a very difficult situation. So every series that we have playing an option team has got to be very, very productive, whether you move and score or whether you change the field position and force them to have to drive back down the field. So, you know, not only from a defensive standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, we've got to take our best game in there against these guys. They force you to play a perfect football game, and that's what North Greenville did last week. They played a near perfect football game, especially offensively.